Good morning, third grade. For today for history, we're just going to go over a few points over chapter 27 about Clara Barton. And you read that before, so we're just going to review over a few main points for upcoming quiz that we have for next week. Now, Clara was born December 25th in 1821, a Christmas baby, in Oxford, Massachusetts. Her name was Clarissa Harlow Barton, but they just call her Clara for short. Now, before she was 5 years old, her older sister, Dorothy and Sally, taught her to read a book before she was 5. That's very interesting. Clara's mother and sisters also taught her how to sew, cook, and do homework. Now, her brother, David, taught her to ride horses and also taught her how to play ball, most better than most boys. Her father had been a captain in Indian wars. He taught her all about war and fighting. So all around, from her sisters, mother, brother, and father, they all taught her most important things that she used, as you find out that she used later as she grew older. Now, as we move on to when Clara grew older, when she was 11 years old, her brother was hurt badly in an accident. He needed constant care from a nurse. That's when Clara started into action. For 2 years, Clara was David's nurse. After a while, everyone was happy when David was finally well again. As we progress on down the timeline of Clara's life, later on that we do read, she becomes a teacher. Clara was very shy and found it hard to talk to people and make friends. So to help overcome this fear, she did something very brave and she became a school teacher. Now back then, you didn't have to go to college. Like today's time, you had to go to college, get certain certifications to become a teacher. But back then, she didn't have to. So she's up and decided to overcome her fear of speaking to others to be a school teacher. Now, she was very small, and most of her students were bigger than her. And it got to the point where some of the first day of school, some of them tried to basically, not say pick on her, to basically try her. So some of the older boys started to play little games. They realized Clara, she could definitely outrun and outplay them as well. And she learned that from her bigger brother. Now, from that time, Miss Barton was the school's pride. Now, as we move on, after many years of teaching, Clara decided to go to Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. Now, you should know that by now. She was one of the first women in the United States to work in a government job in the U.S. Patent Office. Now, about that time, the Civil War was just beginning. Now, let's take a step back to the previous chapter with Ulysses S. Grant and Robert E. Lee during the Civil War. Now we're going to a different viewpoint of Clara Barton. She was also involved during the Civil War, as we read on and find out and see. As she noticed that soldiers were marching through Washington, D.C., she saw that some soldiers were brought back, were pulled on carts and horses. And she realized a lot of them were injured. And she thought to herself and shook her head, this is not enough. These men need help the same day they are hurt. If only I could go to where they are fighting, then I could feed them and bandage their wounds right away. So basically, when they were injured, they had to be brought back. There were no nurses or doctors out there in the field. So most of the times, they were severely injured. Some soldiers might not make it back due to their injuries. That's where Clara Barton decided to make a change. Now, let's talk about when Clara Barton finally becomes a nurse. Now, she remembered the days when she and her father would pretend to fight battles. Her father had taught her that one duty was to love and serve his country. Now, she could not be a soldier, but she could help the wounded. She knew she must go where the battles were being fought. During the war, Clara Barton went from one battlefield to another. Sometimes she had to ride horses. So even when she was riding horses, there were some times when bullets were going past her, but God kept her safe when she went to go heal others in the battlefield. And no matter what danger she faced, Clara Barton helped the wounded and dying soldiers, and cooked and fed for them as well. They nicknamed her, that's how she got the nickname, Angel of the Battlefield. When the war was over, Clara Barton, she was very tired. So a doctor sent her to go to Europe. Little did she know, there was a war going on in Europe as well between France and Germany. Now, a group called the International Red Cross was working to provide aid for the wounded soldiers. Now, that's when Miss Barton realized she started to think she liked how they had the Red Cross over there, but realized how was there not a Red Cross in the United States? And that's when she brought the idea of the Red Cross. When she came back from Europe to the United States, she brought that idea over here. And that's how it became developed. So not only did it help during war, they helped during times of needs and natural disasters such as floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, and fires. And if you look on page 274, if you don't recall what the symbol looks like, you can see the Red Cross symbol is a red cross and a white background, the symbol on the flag. So it's a red cross on a white flag. So ever since she was a child, all the principles that Clara Barton was taught from her family, she used that later in life, and which actually helped out save many lives during battle, and actually helped out increase develop the organization, the Red Cross here in America.